I am super excited. I love this segment that we do every month, the Winning Strategies with the WBE, because we really get to meet someone who is inspirational, someone who is successful, and someone who has tips and ideas to share. So it is really my pleasure to welcome our very own Monica Hernandez. And I'm going to start off, Monica, by asking you to tell us about your company and why you actually started your company.
Thank you for having me here. It's great to be here with all of you. So why did I start Mass Global? So let's start by saying that I am a Latina immigrant in the US. I was born in Medellin, Colombia, and I lived there for 20 years. And a very working family, like most Latino families with great values. And I was very fortunate to earn a scholarship in one of the best private colleges in Colombia, thanks to my mom mainly being really, really focused on education being the way to move forward. And so that's how I became a software engineer. And then thanks to that university, I came to Texas to do my internship. And that was the first time ever I was out of Colombia. And it was a transformational experience. I always thought that I would go back to Colombia, but then I wanted to do my master's degree, which I did in Texas, computer science and engineering. And then I went on to my first job, then to Oracle Consulting. And once I was in corporate America, I fell in love with the US and the amazing opportunities. And then I realized my way to give back to Colombia was not to just be there, but to provide opportunities for others back home. And so we started Mass Global with the idea that I will unite my desire to give back with my passion for technology as a software engineer. After being in Oracle, I saw managing very large global projects, the challenges with different time zones and collaboration, companies trying to be very agile and execute their projects with teams in Asia and India, in Ukraine, and Colombia and Latin America overall being in the same time zone was a really key advantage. Especially I knew firsthand the quality of the talent. So we started Mass Global as a way to provide a solution to that and to create agile software development teams that will be hybrid, some in the US on site with our clients and some in Latin America. And we've been very successful doing that. I didn't think we were going to grow as fast as we have, but fast forward to today, we are now 270 team members across the globe. We are in 7 countries. That office that you see there is our office in Medellin, Colombia, which is where our first delivery center was in my home city. And so it says Hecho in Colombia, which means made in Colombia. And that sign there says Hola Medellin. So my whole immigrant story and my idea of giving back to Colombia was the source of inspiration to start Mass Global.
Beautiful, beautiful. And to be a woman software engineer, you probably have lots of stories to tell of, you know, being the only one and being probably regarded a certain way because you were the only one, right? So.
Absolutely. Software engineer, very few women in technology, unfortunately less than 20%, Latina with an accent in the US. I had a lot of looks telling me, really? You're going to offer me what? You're going to grow to what? I'm like, yep, I'm going to do that.
And kudos to you. Kudos to you. So our second question is, how have you used WBENC certification to your advantage?
Mass Global would be a very different company if it wasn't for the certification. When I started, I didn't even know that there was such a thing. And what the first large client that we had, we started with a great offering, great project, but we were having a lot of challenges scaling, even inside that client, or even finding new clients. And I was very small. I didn't have budget for a commercial team and marketing and all these things. And someone told me one of the networking events, which is why you need to network. What about this women-owned certification? Because you seem to be really good at what you do. but maybe you need more access to opportunities. And I think that's what WBENC has been for us. Even with that specific client, once we showed our value first, if we wanted to go out and grow our presence there, as soon as we got certified and we got in contact with our supplier diversity team, they were now an ally. They were not an entry point at that point. They were more of a champion for us. And when it got to the point that we're bidding for a $4 million contract, they were able to make this story go all the way to the CIO of a global company with over 100,000 employees, because they thought this company has not only been doing a good job, but they're also women-owned certified. They also help us get to our goals. So it's definitely been very helpful in that case to grow a client. In other cases, through all the WBENC events and networking, I've been part of groups like Women in Tech, for example, with Dell. Nancy, you were talking about the WBENC series. I think there's one this coming Thursday. I was actually invited to talk during that event about the women in technology and how the Dell program helped me as well. So even by the virtue of networking, knowing about all these different groups gives you access to not only opportunities, which is, we all want that, but also mentoring and coaches and people that support you and encourage you. And so that's very valuable as well.
Right, right. And say a few words, if you will, Monica, about the importance of stepping away from your business to be able to attend these events, right? Because I see you at the national events. We see you at Go for the Greens. We see you at the events that we're running. You have 270 people who rely on you, and you're in 7 countries. So why did you make the choice, and why do you think it's important for you to what we call look up and out instead of down and into your business? So would you say a few words about that?
Sure. If you want to scale, then you absolutely need to work on your business and not in your business. I made that mistake the first maybe 2 or 3 years. I was a consultant myself. I came from Oracle Consulting. So I wanted to do and get into the details and be the one delivering the services. And the clients loved me. But then what I realized is that the company was becoming Monica. But if I want to grow, I can't, clone myself. And so I realized I really need to step back and say, how do I establish a structure, a leadership team, a process, material to talk to clients about how, even if I'm not there, they're still going to get a great level of service. So I can still go out, get our company known, get visibility, get exposure. And I think consistency is very important. I remember those first few conferences when I talked to supplier diversity managers. They were like, who are you? Oh, your first time? Okay, let's see if you're here next year. And then again, but once they started seeing me there consistently and sharing news with them, look at this article, look at this award. Oh, we won this other customer. They're like, oh, okay, she's serious. She means business. So I do think that letting others continue to run the business while you do that and be an ambassador for your own brand is really key to scale. And you cannot do that if you don't have a solid leadership team behind you to run the business.
Beautiful. Great advice. Okay, so tell us, what is the most courageous thing you did this past year? So we know that the world changed, right? And in all industries, but in your industry in particular, I think there were some very important challenges. So tell us what the most courageous thing you did was this past year.
Yeah, this past year was definitely unique. You'll probably agree with that. I think there were 2 key factors. One, everyone was very cautious with their cash and with their budgets, obviously, right? And so large and small companies were reevaluating, how do we save our money because we don't know what's going to happen. At the same time, they realized technology is essential. You know how they talk about essential workers? Technology became the thing that was going to keep businesses running, not only for people to work from home, but now if any company had any doubt that they needed to be in the cloud so they could operate from anywhere, this was it. It's like either you go to the cloud, either you innovate, either you go digital first, or you're truly at risk. And so companies kept coming to us saying, we need to do more with less. And so one of our large clients came to us, they schedule a meeting like 10 in the morning, we need to talk at 1 p.m. It's never a good thing when it's so urgent, right? And so I go with my team, and there's procurement, there's legal, there's executives. And they basically said, long story short, we want to save 25% of our cost. And we're going to award a 2-year contract, a multi-million-dollar contract, and you'll be doing a great job, but we need to save this money. So we're going to put this out to bid. The work that we've been doing, we're going to bid it out. And we're going to invite another very large global firm with thousands of employees across the globe. They're going to be your competitor to see who wins, basically. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we need to be doing the same level of service, 25% less, and we need a proposal back in 1 week. Mm. Okay. After I had the talk, I said, well, I asked a few questions, and after those questions, I said, we will be back in 1 week. Would you like us to schedule the meeting? Who needs to be involved? And off we went. And the first thing that I told my team in our internal call was, we are winning this. Yes, I know it sounds challenging. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, piece of cake, but we can do this. We know this client from the palm of our hand. We know the value that we bring. We know the quality of what we offer. So let's be creative. This is the time to think out of the box and come back with something that's going to be compelling. And we did. We worked day and night. We brought our advisors. So you need to have advisors. You need to have people who have been in this situation, who can guide you and see what you're not seeing. And at that point, I was so confident with my team. If I was doubting myself, imagine what the team was going to do. And so at the time, I didn't even second guess what we had to do. And so we came up with ideas. We very quickly ran them by other people, our advisors. We came up with a presentation. And we said, well, you know what? We cannot get to 25% without sacrificing the quality that we know this particular project needs. So we're going to get to 20%, and this is how. And we won. We won. It was such a great success. We reminded them of all the different times where we had replaced other partners that were not meeting their expectations. We reminded them that it was not all about cost, that they needed this project to be done right. Mm-hmm. And a month later, after many negotiations, we ended up signing a multi-million-dollar contract. We won against a very large global vendor. And we also got them to agree to have a public announcement of our partnership. And because of that, we not only kept a client, we grew because now we had to replace the teams from this other vendor. And our company grew 30% last year. We ended up hiring about 100 people. Now we can share as a case study and a success story. And it's been challenging. The transition, it was more outcome-based, but it was absolutely worth it. So I think that was a time to be resilient and courageous and show what you got.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an incredible story, Monica. And I'd like to kind of dissect it a little bit for the people on the call and the people, listening at a later point. So you said a couple of things. First off, you said you went in with an attitude of, let me just hear what they have to say, right? With an open attitude. So that's really key. The second thing you said is that it sounded to me like you heard everything, then you took a deep breath and said, okay, let me weigh the options. Let me see what I'm going to do. And you had a board of advisors, right? So this is something that I think a lot of women-owned businesses think that they have to be a multi-million-dollar business to have a board of advisors. But you, I think, have had a board of advisors for a very long time, even as you were growing, right? So if you could just say a little bit about the role that this board of advisors plays for you.
It's incredible. Well, first of all, because we are women-owned businesses and because we're associated with organizations like WBENC, we get a lot of people who want to help us genuinely, right? People who may already be in other boards because, and they get compensated very well. But if you can tell them your story, what you're trying to do, why, what impact you're trying to create, they're gonna get on the train with you. And so don't think that you have to spend $100,000 on a board. Eventually, depending on how time consuming and how much time they're spending with you, then yes. But that's one thing. It's definitely been extremely helpful, Nancy, not just to deal with these specific situations, but to have a more long-term thinking. Before I was running my business almost quarter to quarter, year to year, and they sort of got me out of that mindset and said, well, what do we really want? And yes, you have a plan and you have to be flexible because COVID happens and you have to adapt quickly. But if you don't have a north, how are you going to motivate your team? Hey, this is what the end looks like, and we're gonna have challenges, but that's what we're going after. And so these people have walked the path you're trying to walk. They also have a network. When I was dealing with these situations, I was getting into a type of contract that I had never done before. Even after all my years with Oracle Consulting, it was outcome based. And even my board of advisors didn't know how to do with that. But what did they do? They reached out to their network. And within hours, I had people on the phone tell me how they will approach it, how they've done it in other places. So it's like a multiplier factor having these people on your side.
And I'll also add, which I think is very important, is as the leader of your business, you are surrounded with people whose job depends on you and who may be more likely to say yes to everything you bring up, right? They may not be willing to take a chance because of job security. They may not be willing to take a chance because, they don't know. But when you have this board of advisors, it's kind of like one step removed from your company, whose goal is to help you keep your eyes on the prize, so to speak, right? And who will not be shy about saying, don't do that. Your goal is this. If you go this way, you compromise A, B, and C. And I'm sure that there have been times, Monica, when you have brought up to your board of advisors an idea that you thought was fabulous, and maybe they said, I don't think so. And that sometimes is a really good thing to hear, right? That we don't need to go there right now. Let's focus here. Just as there are many times probably that they have helped you to widen the scope of your thinking. So I think it's really, really imperative that as you grow your business, as you scale your business, you bring an outside perspective in, right?
Absolutely, Nancy. Your team has an alliance and a loyalty to you as the CEO and the leader of your company. And oftentimes they see you as the person who has all the solutions. And so the board also brings a different mindset. You're not there to provide all the solutions. You're there to provide the vision where you want to go, some framework as to how we're going to get, and then the team is supposed to come up with the ways to get there. So I do think that having this board of advisors elevate the entire team, because now they know there's going to be someone also looking at their strategies and their plans and asking questions that maybe I don't ask, because maybe they bring a different perspective that I don't have. Even for me, sometimes I will say, oh, what about this? Is that aligned with the strategy that we define? Or are we changing the strategy? Something as simple as that makes you more disciplined and more focused, because sometimes we want to jump from this to this, and then we lose our way to what we're really trying to accomplish.
Beautiful. And then one other thing that you said in answering this question, which I think is really important, is you said that it was not all about the cost, right? And that you were able to go back to them and say, look, I can't cut by 25% because that's going to affect the quality. Here's my proposal for a 20% reduction. So can you talk a little bit about what that took for you to be able to do that?
This has been after many years of learning and having these interactions and having coaches and mentors. Sometimes we think that an ask is just a one way, right? I need this, and if you don't have that, then the conversation is over. And as business people, we need to be more creative than that. We need to drive the dialogue and really try to understand the motivation behind what they're asking. Then we can come up with solutions, right? And that adds your value as a company. If you're not just doing what they're asking you to do, but you're really trying to go the 5 whys, right? Why? Then you have more information to start proposing different ways to get to the root cause of what they're trying to do. And so keeping an open mind and being able to propose different ways to get there, I think is really important. Um, and also talking to clients in terms that they understand. So for example, we do agile software development. And so if I talk about very technical terms and how the technical debt and the number of defects, I'm gonna lose them. But if I'm talking to executives and I say, if I do exactly what you're asking and I reduce 25% of the cost, the risk is that what we end up putting in production is not going to work for your users. And now your investment of millions of dollars is going to be lost. Like happened in X, Y, and Z project that we replaced your other partner's team where you had to reinvest. So that they can relate to that. Like, oh, I need to protect my investment. And by the way, it's imperative that technology is giving you the advantage, right? The strategic advantage. And so if that technology is not doing what you need from a quality perspective, if users are complaining, it's not going to be adopted, you don't want that either. You're right, we don't want that. So it's not just saying, I cannot do that, it's telling them why this is even a better idea for them. And if you do that, then you have a winning proposition.
Right. And you touched on a point that bears repeating, and I think is key to your success and the success of companies like you and leaders like you is you have to know your client's client, right? So you were able to take it one step beyond. It's not the end user, the person that you're ultimately doing this for is the result is going to be compromised, right? And I think that when you negotiate in terms like that, where you go one step beyond the immediate, it really seals the deal. And this is a case in point where they were willing to accept, instead of a 25% reduction, a 20% reduction, because you were able to make the case, because you did the research, because you looked beyond the immediate. And I think that is something that a lot of us forget, right? We forget that it's not just client X, it's client X plus their clients plus the clients of their clients, right? So we can go to your 5 whys, we can go pretty deep, right? When we ask the question, well, why do you want this and why this, and keep asking and probing. So thank you for bringing that up.
Of course.
Okay, so our next question for you is, what are some of the advantages and challenges of operating globally? So you told us your personal story of thinking that you got offered this incredible opportunity at university. You went to Texas, you did your internship, but you were thinking, I'm going to go back and help the people of my home of Medellin. So tell us, what are some of the advantages and challenges that you faced?
Right. So for us, it was natural to be global. That's why I called it Mass Global. I wanted it to be more than just a business. It was a story of purpose and impact, which is why we also have a foundation called Mass Future. And then we wanted it to be global because, well, I wanted the clients to be in the US primarily, but our delivery team, the people who are actually delivering the services, could be either in the US or Colombia. That's how we started our thinking. But then, from an scalability perspective, especially in technology, you all know it's hard to get talent. And then once you get the talent, it's hard to retain them. What do clients want more now than ever? They want speed. They want good talent, good technical skills, but they want speed. Sometimes when I get in calls with large clients, we need this, and how fast can you get it? How fast can you get it now is even more important than the cost, because everybody's looking for talent, right? And so if I'm only in Colombia and the US, I only have two places to go look for that talent. So if you want to scale and meet the needs of agility that our clients need, oh, well, now we can offer 6 different countries. And by the way, we know those different countries very well. So depending on your needs, we're going to offer people from X and Y. So not only you can scale faster, you can meet them their needs from a speed perspective, but now you can find the best talent anywhere. You're not limited to where you are. So from a talent perspective, it makes a lot of sense. From a growth perspective, every country has its own opportunities. So first I thought, well, the big opportunities are in the US. This is where these Fortune Global 500 companies are. But then I realized if we are in Colombia, if we are in Mexico, if we're very specific about the type of clients we want, and that's another tip that I'm giving you along the way, be very intentional about what opportunities you're looking for. For a while, we were very opportunistic. Whatever came away, we took. Well, the more you specialize, the more you learn about specific industry, type of companies, their needs, then the better value proposition you can provide. So when we do that across different countries, such as Colombia, we find clients like we're just getting an agreement for 3 development teams. It's about 27 people, and it's going to be probably $1 million, a year or so. And this is a company that's in Latin America, that is in technology, growing very fast, 20,000 people. So I'm like, there's definitely opportunities there. So from a talent perspective, from a business opportunity perspective, Glow and Global definitely can help you grow faster and be more resilient. If you have a challenge, even now, if you are in supply chain and COVID happened, if you're only in one country, then what are you going to do? You have limited options. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
And what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome?
I think the biggest challenge is the complexity from a legal and compliance standpoint. Because from an infrastructure perspective, now you need attorneys and accountants, and how do you get the talent? And if you don't have people who you trust that can help you build that infrastructure, then it can take a while, and you might be getting into risky territory if you're not careful, because every country has its different laws. So that's is manageable for sure, but it's something to pay attention to. Communication is another challenge. In our company, one of our values is being all in. You're proactive, you're agile, you're engaged. And so we have a meeting that we do every month, and we call it All In. It's everyone. As we grew, now we have people in Ukraine, in Peru, and Honduras, in the US. So that, do we do it in English? Do we do it in Spanish? Do we do it both? Do we translate? Like, it becomes cumbersome. And it's like, well, we wanted to feel like one team, but we don't want anyone to feel left out. So it's something to think through. How do you make sure that you stay connected with all your employees as you go global? Maybe you have meetings for different countries in different languages. Maybe you have local HR business partners that are staying connected and doing events. So communication is something that is definitely a risk, not only from being global, but also as you grow. Like, I used to know everybody by name. Now I go to our offices and I just don't, but I send videos, I do the all links, I send emails, I make an effort for people to hear from me what's happening.
And what a beautiful way to stay connected, right? Is to understand the challenges and find ways around those challenges. So yes, it's not the same as speaking to someone face to face, but if they see a video of you, if they're feeling, I love the name of your meetings, All In, right? So,
Yes.
so that's always very, very important. Yeah, and I loved what you said about being intentional about opportunities. For a lot of people, going global is very scary, right? They're fearful of all of the potential setbacks and costs and all of that. For other people, it's like, well, you know what? I better just do it. And I think there's a happy medium, right? You have to do the research. You have to understand that, going all in is going to cost you this, this, and that. Being intentional is going to cost you this, this, and that. So it's better to go in with your eyes wide open. And the beauty of this time and place is that there's lots of resources, right? So we've talked in the past about the Export-Import Bank. We've talked about Enterprise Florida. Just last week or the week before, we had information from a global panel that talked about all of the opportunities and information that's available. So as a leader, your job is to become aware, right? And as a leader to kind of set the tone and make that decision. And then remember, you can count on your board of advisors to help you move forward. And for those of you who don't know about We Connect International, it is a sister organization of WBENC. And We Connect International certifies women-owned businesses outside the US. And there are many opportunities for collaboration and strategic alliances. So if you're interested in doing business in a particular country and you want to know, are there women business owners that you could create a strategic alliance with? Yes, there probably are. And you just contact us offline and we'll connect you to We Connect International. Okay, so our final question for you, Monica, is do you have any words of advice for WBEs?
Yes, I think I've said a few along the way. Network, network, network. All the organizations that you've heard of today, I'm probably in all of them. I'm part of We Connect International, both global and in Colombia. I'm part of the WPO in the Tampa Bay chapter. I'm part of a high-tech Hispanic IT Executive Council, and they're giving me speaking opportunities. I've actually had business opportunities and even talking to peers about what's happening in the industry. I'm part of Latino Business Action Network, which is a collaboration with Stanford University about scaling. I found out about that program through WBENC, through the Tech Scale group, technology industry group. So network, but then use the network. I think something that I see many entrepreneurs making a mistake of, they're everywhere, but what are you getting out of it? Mm-hmm. What are the top 5 people that you met? Before you go to an event, what are you really trying to get out of it? Do your homework. Who's going to be there? Like Nancy was saying, so and so and so are going to be in this think tank. I may know so the company that we're targeting so that I tell my team, hey, Bristol Myers is going to be there. So I think we need to do our homework. It's not just doing networking to do it. And also help, give yourself, right? I believe in the circular benefit of networking. When you find an opportunity to help someone else, do it. And then when the time comes, you will be helped. The other thing is, we talked about board of advisors, which is a great way to help advise, but also mentors, coaches, sponsors, right? Even this network, peers. All of those roles are so important for you to be able to bounce ideas and to share perspectives, or even when you're having a challenge. Have you had this challenge? How have you approached this in your own company? I think that's really key to have all of them. Be very ambitious with your long-term goals, right? Be very realistic, right? But be very ambitious. Don't limit yourself with the resources you have today, the leadership team you have today. Find out what you really want to do, really believe deeply about it, and then figure out what you need to get there. The capital is in the market. WBENC is there. People like Nancy and others are there to guide you and help you. It's all about you wanting it really bad and then making your team believe in it. And then it's all possible, right? And so I think that sometimes we only look in the short term, and there's so many opportunities now. So thinking big and making it happen, I think is really key. Getting a leadership team. And trust me, I realize that depending on where you are, budgets are limited. But as you grow, invest in leaders. Because the more leaders you bring to your team that can truly execute your strategy, and to bring ideas to the table, that's going to be so valuable. If the scaling is important for you, there's no way to scale that I know, unless you have leaders that you can rely on, that you can delegate to. I'm still building my leadership team. I have great leaders, but as we grow, I find out that we have other needs. And so you need to stay flexible and adapt, but having a leadership thing, I think, is really important. And I guess last, your own leadership style is very important. And I think being an authentic leader is important. If you tell your people, I care about you, then genuinely say so. Make sure your actions really follow your words, right? So if I care about my people, if I care about the community, then I'm showing my team, we gave away these scholarships, we're supporting this foundation. Do you want to be part of this? Let's go give away these things for these girls in technology. Here's your bonus. Great job. Come to town. Find meaningful ways to be a consistent, credible leader, because people will want to follow you and go through walls for you if you really show them that you care about them. And even when there's challenges, this is something that I learned from one of my advisors. I was always very careful with the messaging. And he said, why don't you tell people what's going on? I'm like, what? Why? No. It's like, they're probably figuring it out anyway. And if you tell them and you tell them what you're doing about it, you're going to be more believable. They're like, okay, we have a leader that trusts us, that's telling us what's happening and asking for our help, and she's working on it. So people are not going to be all worried about what's happening. So I think being transparent with your team is very important. And that's going to make your team want to go after your goals, and you're going to retain great people, because we can't grow businesses without great people. So I'm always working on my own leadership and style, and how can I stay connected to people, because then if we do that and if we build great cultures, then we're going to do a great job with our clients and with the product that we're building.
Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was taking some notes, and I'll just summarize really quickly the 5 points of advice that you're giving to all of us, and this is a great gift. Using networking, but also using the network, right? And going back and making sure that you take and you give, right? Having the board of advisors, but also looking at mentors, sponsors, and coaches. The third thing you said was to think big, to be really ambitious about your long-term goals, and not to have the current mindset as you're creating those long-term goals. Number 4 is to create a really good leadership team. And as you grow, invest in leaders. Really, really important. And then finally, look at your own leadership style and authenticity. I think that is something that a lot of women business owners are really good at, because generally we are authentic people, right? Yeah. And what your advisor told you about transparency and shifting the way, reframing the way you look at something to say, no, I can't say that, but well, if you do share that, it shows that you're not hiding anything, right? That you're seeking advice, and that you're laying your cards on the table. And as you said, that really builds trust, and it creates the kind of culture within your company that is a successful culture, right? So thank you so much. We have a little bit of time. Are there any questions? I can't really see the chat. So have any questions come in from the chat? Or do we have questions?
There are several questions. I'm happy to ask them. Let's see. We did hear from Dell Rabinowitz. She wants to know, how do you communicate with your advisory board, Monica?
Yeah, great question. When we started, it was very informal. And so we had maybe half an hour every week, and we talk about what's going on. Then we moved to once a month, more sort of long-term things. And now we have an actual formal board meeting twice a month. And we have a calendar for the entire year. And we choose, there's some standing topics that we always cover: business health, how we're doing against our strategy, metrics, and so forth. And then we chose a topic for every board meeting. One topic might be talent, retention, and hiring faster, and so forth. Another topic might be long-term strategy. Another topic might be M&A. Are we ready to look for M&A opportunities to acquire other businesses or to merge other businesses? So that's how we do it now. Now, when you have board members, typically they're also available to you. So even though you had the formal meeting every 2 months, then typically you talk to them, individually, half an hour. This is what's happening. What do you think about this?
Beautiful.
You know what? I meant to ask Dell to ask the question herself, and I forgot to do that. We have another question from Joy Linsky. And Joy, if you are on and you'd like to pop in and ask the question, feel free to do that. Okay.
Hi, Monica. Thank you for sharing with us today. Sorry about the door slamming.
De nada, you're welcome.
Real quick, regarding scaling your business, I was just curious what types of systems you put in place to empower your employees in your stead, so when you're not able to be there, and how you communicated that to the clients when you're onboarding them.
Yeah, that should have been one of my tips. Use technology because every business
Coming from the tech girl.
business. So we use a few tools. Microsoft Teams is what we use for collaboration, and we have multiple channels for learning, channels to communicate news that per project, per team. So a lot of communication all the time. We also use a tool for HR. As you scale, it's very hard to manage all the employee data and operations manually or in Excel. So in our case, we use a system called Bamboo HR, and it's actually not that expensive, SaaS-based. And then from our overall operations, we're actually in the process right now to implement Oracle NetSuite, because we used to have another system and we outgrew that one. So we had to make a significant investment this year, but that's able to consolidate our finances globally. And we actually share with our clients what we're doing from a technology perspective, because that means faster invoicing, more accuracy for them, always showing them how they're going to get value from our own technology investments. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely. What was the name of that last software?
Oracle NetSuite. That's more for professional services and finance. I'm ex-Oracle, so I had to implement an Oracle product. But there's tons of SaaS-based tools that you can use as you grow your business, and then you might be ready to graduate to a more robust ERP system. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking for something specific, feel free to shoot me an email or a LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to guide you with what I know.
Thank you, Monica. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very, very much, Monica. We're nearing the top of the hour, and the insight that you provided is amazing. And I really encourage everyone to connect with Monica on LinkedIn. She's pretty active on LinkedIn, and you can see what she's doing and what she's all about, who she's following. And just congratulations on your success, on all of the awards that you have been winning recently. Thank you for everything, and thank you for always talking about WBENC. We so appreciate that you are promoting certification and the opportunities and access that you have through WBENC. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me. We're very happy with our latest award yesterday, Tampa Bay Fast 50. So it's always a pleasure to talk to other women entrepreneurs, and happy to help with anything that I can. There's my LinkedIn there, and let's just go get it.
Well, thank you so much, Monica. Thank you, everyone. And those of you that are watching us through Facebook and YouTube, thank you for joining us for this winning strategy with the WBE section. And have a great rest of the week. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.